Hi there.
Ikalata.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't I don't speak Kryptonian. I didn't never shoot. I wasn't raised there, so I wasn't raised there. Why am I talking louder? Let me help you.
Scritto sfora, Nini. Sfora.
It's a feisty little guy. It's cute. Is it okay if I... Watch your step there. Might be slippery, so... Ah, yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Don't worry, we don't actually live here. There's a lot more to Earth than just this place. Big city, lots of stuff to do, and you'll also learn to love this place, just like I have. Promise.
Esmeki Karim, yeah.
Oh, should mention, your powers are gonna start kicking in right about now.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. DC and James Gunn dropped a brand new clip of Superman meeting Supergirl for the first time. There's a whole bunch of comedy they lean into here. Like, does he wear his underwear outside? Why is he walking around in his underwear? Does everybody on this planet walk around in their underwear? Just seems like there are a lot of underwear-related questions on her mind right now. Like, please tell me you're not going to make me walk around in my underwear everywhere now, too. And they make a big joke of him not understanding Kryptonian, not being fluent in his own people's language, so he has no idea what she's saying. Also love the scene of her powers kicking in. You can see all the sensory information rush in. They did this during Zack Snyder's Man of Steel movie where the Kryptonians started to freak out because of all the extra sensory information, and it took them a second to just figure things out before they could function again. They don't really show it in this clip, and it seemed like they mashed it up, so like this is a much longer clip in the actual movie itself, but Krypto's powers are probably kicking in too. So you just imagine like a tiny puppy floating up in the air all of a sudden randomly. You also notice that he tries to bite Superman's hand off even before his powers come in, like tiny puppy trying to bite Superman's hand off.
Sfora.
It's a feisty little guy.
You also notice he's still wearing his suit from the first Superman movie because that was the suit he was wearing in the first Superman movie, and this is taking place like a year or two before the first Superman movie, so contextually it actually makes sense he'd be wearing the old version of the suit because James Gunn did reveal that in Man of Tomorrow, which they're filming right now, we got a whole bunch of footage of him fighting Lex Luthor in the giant mech suit, the war suit. He's actually wearing a brand new suit, like they tuned the suit itself. It looks a little more form-fitting, a little more aura farming going here, but it's just the way the lights are hitting him where they're filming this scene at night. But the symbol looks a little bit bigger on his chest. The neckline looks a little bit different too. They probably tried designs without the neck, but David Cornswit is so tall, his neck is so long, he probably just looked weirder without the collar on the actual suit. It seems like based on this timeline here, the first Superman movie takes place in 2025. He debuted to the world as Superman 3 years prior to that in 2022, meaning he would have had to create the Fortress of Solitude just before that, so maybe like 4 years max, like 2021. Supergirl's pod crashes to Earth. He's already been Superman for a while, but it's long before the events of the first Superman movie, like I said, maybe like 1 year before the movie, so he's been Superman for at least a couple years. And it seems like the way they're explaining him not being fluent in Kryptonian is that he's just made the Fortress of Solitude just a little while ago, so he's just started watching his parents' message for a little while, and that's probably how he's been learning Kryptonian, using the words from the message itself to like slowly pick up a little bit of it. My assumption is that Jor-El also would have programmed this information into his pod, so the Superman robots that were constructed from material inside the pod as well are probably helping teach him Kryptonian language just over time, but most of his time he's spending saving people around the world being actual Superman, so he's probably not got a whole bunch of time to actually study on Kryptonese. But if you remember, in that first Superman movie, he wasn't fluent in Kryptonian or Kryptonese in that movie. He probably just understands enough of it so that he can understand the portion of his parents' message that he was able to listen to before the engineer fully decoded it. James Gunn said Man of Tomorrow takes place 2 years after the first movie, like the DCU is moving in relative real time. It's been 2 years when that movie will come out from the first movie. So I'm assuming not a ton has changed with him learning Kryptonian. Supergirl will probably help him learn a little bit more of it faster because it's easier to learn foreign languages when you're trying to converse in them, like fully immersed all the time. Most of the previous Superman TV shows, movies, incarnations over the years just hand-wave over this detail for Superman when he's younger and always just becomes fluent at some point later in his life.
Kal-El, I'm Sub-Commander Fiora Al.
And there are scenes of Krypton's actual destruction in the Supergirl trailer. These are all of Argo City, specifically on Krypton, where she lived with her parents. While Krypton is being destroyed nearby, Jor-El is firing off Superman's pod in a different city, but he's a baby, and she, as you see, is pretty much the same age she was in those flashbacks in present day. Her body has not aged from Krypton's destruction because she's been in stasis. The reason why she crash lands to Earth is because her father, Zor-El, put her in the pod and set the pod for Earth. Like, he knew about Earth because he knew about Jor-El's plan to send Superman as a baby to Earth. So he's basically just piggybacking on his brother's idea. Like, that's actually a pretty good idea. Earth is a pretty solid place, and you'll have a chance because you will have powers under the yellow sun. He also tasks her with protecting her baby cousin, Kal-El. So she actually thought when she arrived on Earth she would find tiny baby Kal-El, but she sees the adult Kal-El Superman. The reason why Superman is so much older than her when she arrives on Earth is because her pod took way longer to travel through space to get to Earth, talking about relative physics of like space travel, space flight. All the other scenes of him giving her her first Supergirl suit and sort of explaining Earth and all the different cities where he comes from, his original backstory when he was raised on Earth by his Earth parents, are probably a short time jump after this. I don't know if they're going to happen during this particular flashback sequence or if they break up all these moments as she's explaining her history and explaining Superman to Ruthie. Like, tell me what your cousin Superman is like. But at least at the beginning of the movie, in the time that she's been on Earth, like a couple of years she's been on Earth, she's been bumping up against what she feels like are his expectations of her to become the same level of superhero he is, beacon of hope on Earth. And she basically has just arrived on Earth in this clip carrying a suitcase full of trauma. Like, you see Superman pick up her suitcase from the pod and carry it to the fortress. So at least when the Supergirl movie begins, she hasn't really dealt with any of that guilt or trauma over the loss of her family or the loss of her people or her planet. And the idea is that Superman doesn't have any of that because he was a baby on Krypton. He has no memories of it naturally. The way he'd learn about it is through his message from his parents. The Kryptonian robots sort of explain the biology, the flora and fauna of Krypton and showing him pictures of it. And then Supergirl eventually, maybe once she's over some of her trauma, like once she deals with a lot of that, then she starts to talk to him about Krypton.
You came from Krypton.
James Gunn and the other people that actually made this movie actually said that Supergirl up to this point hasn't spent a lot of time talking to Superman about Krypton just because it's such a pain point for her. My assumption is that her arc in this movie is her like slowly starting to get over that, like to work through her trauma. So by the end of this movie, when she goes back to Earth, she starts to begin to be able to actually talk to him about Krypton. Like, oh, this is what it was actually like because she lived a whole life there before it was destroyed. There are a lot of other bits of Kryptonian technology and lore that I hope they get into in future movies, like the idea of the Phantom Zone. They haven't really got into that yet. The idea that there might be some other Kryptonians out there that aren't super nice, like Zod. Where is Zod? Is he still in the Phantom Zone? And I'm really hoping that by the end of Man of Tomorrow, because Brainiac has the bottle city of Kandor, is that they rescue that and he either puts the bottle city inside the fortress and they end the movie with like a cliffhanger of him trying to figure out what to do with the bottle. Like, how do I save all these people? There are thousands and thousands of Kryptonians alive in this tiny little city. Like, how do we save all of them? Or if they decide to blow past that plot point, just speed run that, and return Kandor to regular size by the end of the movie. So suddenly, the universe is filled with thousands and thousands of Kryptonians, all with superpowers while they're under a yellow sun. And how do they deal with that now? It really just depends on where James Gunn wants to take Super Family, like Superman, Supergirl, like this group of characters next, like whatever the next movie winds up being. He said that he has a 4-movie story arc idea for Superman. The first 3, I'm assuming, continue through like a trilogy of Superman solo movies, and then the 4th movie is just like a big Justice League crossover or team-up movie. As we've seen, he's in the Supergirl movie a little bit, but I don't count that as like part of the 4-movie story arc idea. I think James Gunn was talking about like big main characters in stories, not just like side characters or cameos. One of the things they don't touch on during that clip is they don't mention lanterns, which is also supposed to be more intergalactic. Even though it is based on Earth, it is going to be very cosmic in nature. Like, they will talk about other Green Lanterns. We'll see other Green Lanterns. Even though we're in the middle of that Paramount buyout right now, like that's all going to shake out in the next couple of years, David Ellison, who's in charge of Paramount, has made it sound like he is a super fanboy of James Gunn's DCU, also Game of Thrones universe over at HBO, House of the Dragon, all that stuff. It really does seem like he is huge on both of those things.
Warner Brothers Pictures delivered a powerhouse slate last year, with Superman, Minecraft, and Sinners propelling the studio past $4 billion in box office.
So my assumption is that James Gunn will get to stay as long as he wants to stay as the head of DC. It's like the Kevin Feige of DC. And if he wants to renew his contract after the first term is up, he will continue. But that'll be like the big question, is when that does come, does he want to stay? My early assumption, just based on what he's said so far, like the vibe, is that he wants to see his creative vision of DC Chapter 1 come to fruition, which basically like tail end bookends with his next Justice League movie, like whatever the new version of the Justice League looks like. Then after that, we will see what winds up happening. But I am expecting it to take them at least 4 to 5 years to get there, which takes them through his first contract renewal, so he will actually have to re-up his contract in order to see that complete vision to fruition. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know what other big cosmic series and movies you want James Gunn to do in the future. There's going to be a bunch of stuff coming up next week, so I'll try to do videos for everything. We should get some more Superman Man of Tomorrow footage. I'll do another video for that if there is enough new stuff that we get. We're also supposed to get a full Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, but it leaked out a couple days early, so they might change that. Like Sony and Marvel might go back to ground and make a whole new trailer, so we actually might have to wait a couple more weeks to actually get that trailer. Please don't do that. Just go ahead and release it. It doesn't matter that it leaked. This entire thing happened when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, and the trailer, when they did release it, did gangbusters. Whatever they wind up doing, of course I will do all the videos for it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Everybody click here and here for all those trailers. I'll update the links as soon as I post those videos.